All right, we're taking a look at the future Biden term from the perspective of political science professors. I continue to be joined by Professor Suzanne Chad and Professor Bill Muck from North Central College. Guys, let's talk about this upcoming impeachment because, of course, we learn on Friday that Nancy Pelosi is presenting the articles of impeachment on Monday to the Senate. And, you know, Bill, McConnell, I'm guessing, was taken aback by that because he wanted it to wait. Was this a Schumer-Pelosi effort, do you think? Because I can't imagine Pelosi would do it without Schumer's approval. And what's the theory of moving ahead so fast?
Well, the question is, so they may bring it over, but there's still some talk about delaying it a week or so. So there's compromise being had. In some ways, the Republicans wouldn't mind. It sounds like the Trump team wants a little bit more time for their defense. So it's possible that McConnell has gotten messages from the president to say if there's interest in postponing for a week or two, we are okay with that. The Democrats also have all of their nominees that have to come through. So we might come to a situation where both parties wouldn't mind pushing back for a week and then getting to this difficult process. And you're right. I think this will be a much more quick impeachment than the previous ones. You know, usually it's multiple weeks. It's possible that this could happen in a week or two.
Unless, of course, Democrats decide to present all sorts of law professors and bring in a variety of things. But I think you're right. All you got to do is run those videos, and you've seen the evidence, perhaps, that you need. Suzanne, if you guys were both lawyers, I would ask you about the legal process going on. But you are political scientists, and in fact, this is a political process. So what chance do you think there is of 17 Republican senators, even faced with the evidence they will see? Because, again, as a lawyer myself, I mean, President Trump does tell people he tells them to walk down and go to the Capitol and be strong. What are the odds 17 Republicans have the strength to say this was wrong, he must be convicted?
I will say that I think the odds are higher based on some of the behavior of Leader McConnell in the past week, even in the past couple of days, that he has strongly suggested that he has said, I'm going to hear all the evidence and I'm not ruling anything out. And I think it could be a strategic move on the part of the party. Again, the party is an institution. For McConnell to look at the members, those who he knows would already be on the side of conviction, like Murkowski, Collins, and Romney, and say, we have an opportunity to break free of this person that really is going to weigh us down as we move forward. And the evidence I think, is clear enough to give them something to fall back on if they make the decision to vote for conviction. I think it would be a strong message that the party has taken back control and it's not Donald Trump anymore leading it.
Bill, on inaugural night, we saw 3 of 4 existing past presidents put a video together that ran, and it was really sort of a heartwarming thing to see Bill Clinton and George W. Bush, Barack Obama talking about how government should work. President Trump was not there, and we get that. But what impact did that have? How welcome is President Trump in the past presidents club?
My guess is not particularly welcome. And I, to be honest, I don't think he really wants to be involved. We see, I mean, you're right. It was such a stark contrast between those presidents coming together, really outside of a partisan lens, just talking about the process, the importance of the process of inauguration, the importance of democracy, kind of shifting away from the importance of a person as opposed to the broader democratic institution we're all part of. So, we've seen close friendships. Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush got very, very close. Barack Obama and George W. Bush have a good relationship. But I think it's really unlikely we'll see that with Donald Trump, just because Donald Trump has taken such a different approach to the institution. I mean, there have been times in the past where a sitting president will ask somebody, an ex-president, to go help. I can't imagine Joe Biden reaching out to Donald Trump to say, hey, go chat with North Korea. I mean, he has such a different perspective and tone on these issues.
All right, guys, we're out of time. Suzanne, I'm going to take your nodding to mean you agree with everything Bill said, so I don't have to come to you for that, and I can't because we're out of time. Thank you guys for being with us. I appreciate it. We'll see you again soon. You're great. And we're going to take one last break. We'll be right back.